Hi all, I thought to continue the theme of traps, let's have a look at a trap variation within the Budapest Gambit. Now the Budapest is something which I might actually try in my blitz a bit more. I do try for e5 as a gambit, but usually that's in a different gambit, the Albin counter gambit, which is c4 e5. But in the Budapest, there's still the idea of e5, just first knight f6, so we get a pesky knight going, because after c4, we still play the move e5, which seems completely irrational just to give up a pawn, for seemingly not much. But the Budapest Gambit has actually got some surprise value, especially in blitz, I think, so it's probably worth a punt. And there's actually two key moves if white takes the pawn. There's knight g4, which is immediately hitting that e5 pawn, or there's the more cheeky knight e4, which has some ideas, you know, about f2 and bishop b4 checks, and maybe, you know, this pawn can be pressured with the other knight later, you know, like knight c6. But also, you know, d6 might be supported by the knight e4 as well. So we're looking in particular at the knight e4 line, and in fact after knight f3, I don't think d6 is a particularly common move when I looked it up on chessgames.com, but for the purposes of this trap line, we're going to play it, and maybe I'll experiment with it in a blitz game. So d6 here, and white now swallows another pawn with e takes d, and after bishop takes d6, white now commits an error. White, say, plays g3, which seems logical in a way, to fianchetto the bishop, get along with things, just castle next. However, black can rudely interrupt this process of castling here, and I wonder if you can spot how, if I give you 10 seconds from this position, starting from now. Okay, I'm hoping you spotted knight takes f2. Okay, so the king takes, and now what would be your move here? Now this is critical to realize that one of the available moves really gets a huge advantage, the other just, you know, a big advantage. So I'll give you 10 seconds from here. Okay, bishop takes g3 check. Give yourself 100 points. Pardon me. Now, if you played bishop c5 check, give yourself you know, 20 points, because white might here have knight d4, and you're not getting as much as in the other line. You could, you know, try bishop d4 for example, and you wouldn't get much because you're not winning the queen or anything. Or you could alternatively play queen f6 check, which is stronger. And now if king here, bishop takes d4, hitting f2, threatening mate in 1. And after e3, for example, this might happen. So you've snapped up a few pawns, and of course you're better, but it's not as crushing as the critical continuation. So let's go back. After this g3, the critical move is knight takes f2, and after king takes f2, bishop takes g3. So the point is, white is definitely losing that queen. The king can't go back to protect the queen, so say pawn takes, now we just play queen takes d1. So it's a neat trap in a side line really. So after e5, I think knight g4 is slightly more common than knight e4, but then we definitely have a sideline move here being played with d6. Okay, so white takes that pawn and then casually plays g3, and then you unleash knight takes f2 with devastating effect. So it might be something I'll try in a blitz game coming up soon. Please leave any comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.